Good morning. Good morning. Let's let's bow our heads. Every eye closed. So we have some music this morning. Hooray!
Good morning. We're just gonna sing together.
Shake off your shoes, leave yesterday behind you. Shake off your shoes, but forget not where you've been. Shake off your shoes, forgive and be forgiven. Take up your spade and break ground. Shake off your shoes, leave yesterday behind you. Shake off your shoes, but forget not where you've been. Shake off your shoes, forgive and be forgiven. Take up your spade and break ground. become. Give thanks for each moment, every crumb. Take up your spade and break ground. Holy words unpreserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope. Give us strength, help us cope in this world where we go. Ancient words will guide us home. Ancient words, ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Holy words of our faith, handed down to this age, came to us through sacrifice. Oh, heed the faithful words of Christ. Holy words, long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Holy words, long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope. Give us strength, help us cope in this world where we roam. Ancient words will guide us home. Ancient words, ever true, changing me and changing you. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let the ancient words impart. We have come with open hearts. Oh, let in pause. Find rest of my soul in God alone. I hope it comes from Him. He above all is loving and strong, a warrior as well as a friend. A rock for my feet, a roof for my head, a bulwark in life's desperate hour. My salvation and my honor depend on God. Why is my soul so downcast and anxious? I trust you at all times. Pour out my heart, bearing my soul here before you. 'Cause you aren't like the ones I've trusted before. When I open up, you're there all the more. Lowborn men are but a breath, the highborn are but a lie. Placed on a scale before my God, they amount to a breath or a sigh. We worry about our position in life, so others will think we've arrived. But you love the peasant as much as the prince, the despised of men as much as the honor. I trust you at all times. Pour out my heart, bearing my soul here before you. But you aren't like the ones trusted before. When I open up, you're there all the more. Restore my soul in God alone. I hope it comes from Him. He above all is loving and strong, a warrior as well as a friend. A rock for my feet, a roof for my head, a bulwark in life's desperate hour. My salvation and my honor depend on God. Why is my soul so downcast and anxious? I trust you at all times. Pour out my heart, bearing my soul here before you. 'Cause you aren't like the ones I've trusted before. When I open up, you're there all the more.
so beautiful, eh? I don't know about you, but I'm not very familiar with, like, I'd heard one or two of these songs before, but hadn't heard the last one. And I thought that the lyrics were particularly meaningful in each song. I found them very beautiful. So thank you guys for selecting them and then doing them in such a lovely way. Thank you. I kind of wonder, John, would you mind putting the words up again for the middle song, the ancient words one? Can you roll it along a little bit? Yeah, maybe the next one. Next one. Maybe this. Holy words long preserved. Ooh. For our walk. Ooh.
It was the ooh that got me.
Okay, I did laugh at the oohs. But holy words long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Let the ancient words impart. I just thought, wow. As we were singing that, I was thinking, what an introduction to someone who wants to read scripture as I do today. So, just these ancient words, the value of them. So today I just wanted to bring one psalm, Psalm 63. My soul thirsts for you, my flesh yearns for you, in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Thus I've seen you in the sanctuary, to see your power and your glory, because your loving kindness is better than life. My lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. I will lift up my hands in your name. My soul is satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth offers praises with joyful lips. When I remember you on my bed, I meditate on you in the night watches, for you've been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. But those who seek my life to destroy it will go into the depths of the earth. They'll be delivered over to the power of the sword. They'll be a prey for foxes. But the king will rejoice in God, and everyone who swears by God will glory, for the mouths of those who speak lies will be stopped. And I just realized, as I didn't know why I felt drawn to this particular psalm today, but it was the one that I wanted to look up, and as I read it, I thought, I think there's such beauty in declaring the greatness of God and of allowing our focus to be on God rather than on our circumstances. And I think that we probably continually need to be reminded of that. And it's such a good thing to sing together, such a good thing to pray together, it's such a good thing to remember the goodness of God in the past and to have great hope for the future. It's a good thing to say it and to get our focus up, because it's almost like our soul gets into a bent condition unless we have our focus in the right place. So I was thinking that, and then my prayer all the time these days includes concern for Ukraine. And this last part of the song just seems so strong. Those who seek my life to destroy it will go into the depths of the earth. They'll be delivered over to the power of the sword. They'll be a prey for foxes. But the king will rejoice in God. Everyone who swears by God will glory, for the mouths of those who speak lies will be stopped. And, it's obviously a very complicated situation with tremendous evil that's been done. And I don't think that, for instance, that the entire Russian army is as evil as its leadership. I feel so bad for the young conscripted men. But just one sec, Pete. But my heart kind of breaks for them. And my heart breaks for the Ukrainians. And I feel like we are witnessing something of unmitigated evil. And I think, there were many other times in our lives when this kind of evil has been going on, and I'm ashamed in a way that I haven't always understood it as deeply as we seem to be getting it this time. I pray that the whole world, that something is so dark and so in your face that somehow some important step is taken into a world past this kind of violence. But right now, I want to just say a prayer for Ukraine. But Pete, now what were you thinking?
I think the Russian people don't want war themselves.
I'm sure you're right. I think some people only hear propaganda from the news and they think that there's a just cause for the war. I'm sure, but I think anybody that probably knows what's going on doesn't want that. You know?
Well, we go.
Yeah. So along with this, I also I don't want to forget that Ray's at home with his dad, and Rosie's been there, and it's just his dad's near death, in hospice now, and we just, I just want to ask that the Lord be with them too. You know? Yeah. Lord, we just thank you so much for ancient words that do encourage us and give us strength and do guide us home. And I pray that we would find the resonance that we need to wake up and to live lives of strength and courage in our own situations, in our own context. And very often circumstances are dire and hurtful, but help us to keep our heart open to you. And as we do that, I pray that we be infused with your strength. As we pray for Ray and Rosie, we ask for that, and for Ray's dad, and for his mom, and for the whole family, that there'd be an infusion of strength. As we think about Ukraine, we long to see the restraining of evil, the restraining of aggression and violence, and the restraining of lies, and we ask for some kind of a breakthrough beyond all hope. I ask for a breakthrough that this kind of thing, so obvious to so many, makes such a difference that either a United Nations is formed that has power to do something. I don't know what it is, but I pray for a next order of awakening for the human race, for peace, for a longing for peace, for the kind of longing that actually has substance. So we pray that you'd be in so many individual stories we can't even imagine. Just pray that you'd be comforting, holding. We ask for the little hope that was promised in Daniel. And for all of our loved ones spread about, for all of for family members in trouble, for all kinds of things, we open up our heart and we cry out to you, but we remember your goodness in the past, and we praise you. We want to live as, I think it's a good thing to live as people whose focus is on you and whose declarations are true and good, as we focus on the loveliness that you've made in creation and nature and put into our hearts to long for. Thank you. Amen. Yeah, Tina.
Last song was Psalm 62, the Fine Grass One.
Oh, the last song was Psalm 62.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it wrong.
This is good information.
Thanks. Okay, so over to you. Well.
Hey, morning. We know this is Palm Sunday, right? But I'm not going to talk about Palm Sunday. I'm a couple weeks behind. So I was inspired by I think the last two Sundays. I think 2 Sundays ago was in the lectionary, and last Sunday I think Pete mentioned it. But I got struck by a thought in the story about the Prodigal Son. And that's what I wanted to share some thoughts with you about. But first a question. When you go to a birthday party, who enjoys the food and the drink and the fun and everything? Jacob, you were first on the buzzer. You do. Okay. But in a general birthday party, let's answer more globally. Don't just think about ourselves, Jacob. Who enjoys the food and the drink and the fun and everything else? Shannon? I guess. Everybody. Everybody enjoys it. It's for a birthday person, but everybody enjoys it, right? So that's just something to prod your thinking before we start. Okay. I could have had a goat party. That was the name for my talk. It's meant to be intriguing. Are you intrigued a little? Okay. I decided to put the slide so that the goat's head was missing because it might be a goat party, but it's not really a party for the goat. Okay, so that's so better if he's not looking. Bad sense of humor this morning, I'm sorry.
You had to have him one.
Okay, I guess we'll just move on. There we go. This is a painting of the Prodigal Son. This one's by Murillo. And that's the older son there on the left going, yeah.
And Marilla did this in English?
It was covered up for a while by paint, and then they did a restoration of the painting, and then they realized that that's what the intention was in the painting. Because he was not enjoying the party. So let me start by reading you the story. And I'll read it from the voice, so that it's a little different maybe than you've heard before. And then I want to do some imagining in relationship to the story. So here's the story from Luke 15. Once there was this man who had 2 sons. One day the younger son came to his father and said, "Father, eventually I'm going to inherit my share of your estate. Rather than waiting until you die, I want you to give me my share now." And so the father liquidated assets and divided them. A few days passed, and this younger son gathered all his wealth and set off on a journey to a distant land. Once there, he wasted everything he owned on wild living. He was broke, a terrible famine struck that land, and he felt desperately hungry and in need. He got a job with one of the locals who sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. The young man felt so miserably hungry that he wished he could eat the slop the pigs were eating. Nobody gave him anything. So he had this moment of self-reflection. What am I doing here? Back home, my father's hired servants have plenty of food. Why am I here, starving to death? I'll get up and return to my father. And I'll say, "Father, I have done wrong against God and against you. I have forfeited any right to be treated like your son. But I'm wondering if you'd treat me as one of your hired servants." So he got up and returned to his father. The father looked off in the distance and saw the young man returning. He felt compassion for his son and ran out to him and folded him in an embrace and kissed him. The son said, "Father, I have done a terrible wrong in God's sight and in your sight too. I have forfeited any right to be treated as your son." But the father turned to his servants and said, "Quick, bring the best robe we have and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet. Go get the fattest calf and butcher it. Let's have a feast and celebrate, because my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and has been found." So they had this huge party. Now the man's older son was still out in the fields working. He came home at the end of the day and heard music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked what was going on. The servant said, "Your brother has returned, and your father has butchered the fattest calf to celebrate his safe return." The older brother got really angry and refused to come inside. So his father came out and pleaded with him to go back to work and let the fun people party. So that was my addition. That's not really what it says.
Just wanted to see if you're listening.
Exactly right. And pleaded with him to join the celebration, but he argued back, "Listen, all these years I've worked hard for you. I've never disobeyed one of your orders. But how many times have you even given me a little goat to roast for a party with my friends? Not once. This is not fair. So this son of yours comes home, this wasteful delinquent who has spent your hard-earned wealth on loose women, and what do? You butcher the fattest calf from our herd. The father replied, my son, you are always with me, and all I have is yours. Isn't it right to join in the celebration and be happy? This is your brother we're talking about. He was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found again. So a pretty amazing story. I tend to love that story a lot and often use it to think of the grace of God, the forgiveness of God, the eagerness to welcome and all of that, and that's all right and proper. But the people that Jesus is telling the story to are the elder brothers, right? So that is really the focus of the story is, hey, you guys not celebrating? Like, what's going on? Why are you not joining the party? So that's where I want to have us focus our imagination today. Now, I'll confess, I'm a younger brother. Yet, I still sometimes act and think like an older brother, and that I tend to do things like carry responsibilities heavily, and sometimes think more about working than partying. So I certainly have something of the elder brother about me, in spite of being the youngest. And I will ask all of you to imagine with me that you're the elder brother for this imagination exercise. So, are you in the right mindset for this? Are you thinking about all the work that needs to be done? Are you thinking about how annoying it is when people are not doing that work? And all they can think of are their good times, but there's work to be done. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Dave. Yeah. Okay, so that's the headspace we want to be in to start off with. Okay, you ready for your imagination now? Imagine you're the elder brother, but imagine with compassion toward yourself as the elder brother. Okay? Elder brothers deserve love too. So do this with love for yourself and your inner elder brother. Your pesky younger brother is long gone, and you're not all that sad about it. Because even though he didn't work as hard as you, people liked him better. But you resent it anyway that he's gone because it means there's more work for you. And you carry responsibility like a burden, not like something you can walk away from or leave to others. Now you come home after a long day's work and you hear a party that started without you. Who's wasting something now? You ever had that thought? At a party you weren't at? Okay. Who's wasting something now? And then you find out that it's because your brother is back. Ooh. You are really, really angry. And underneath that anger, you're hurt. You feel ignored, taken for granted. You can't believe how unfair that is. You can't even make yourself go in and join the party. So your dad comes out. What do you see on his face? He's longing for you to come in and join the party. He's longing for you to be able to welcome your brother. You try to argue your point. I don't even get a little goat. But he doesn't argue back because you're on the wrong playing field. There are no comparisons here. Love is not doled out in competing shares. He says, I'm 100% with you. Everything that I have is yours. All this is ours together. You can have all the goat parties you want. Let's plan one. But you want to resist, to fight back and complain, to bring it back to your playing field where everything made sense to you about the unfairness. Yet something starts breaking open in your heart. What if this is really different from what you've been thinking? What if the point isn't me being treated unfairly? What if it's me that's just not joining the party, sharing in what's all of ours together? Why can't I just celebrate? So I don't know if you ever feel any of those things. I do sometimes. So why don't we party? Why don't we join the party that's going on? Isn't small, miserable thing fun? Just a waste of time. Yeah, sorry. This is why I don't party, because I can't read the writing. It's so far away and so small. Why don't we party? So what kind of thoughts went through your mind? What do you think keeps you from joining in as freely as you might like, Dave? Resentment. But you can just let go of the resentment and join the party. For some reason, sometimes it feels better to hold on to the resentment. Isn't that weird about us? Renata?
I think to a certain extent, this theoretical younger brother, I would feel hurt by him that maybe perhaps he didn't notice and appreciate me as a person, having not worked as hard as me and then having left. And so I think it might be hard for me to join the party because I still feel hurt in that relationship and don't feel like, I'm happy for you that you are forgiven, but what about our relationship?
So that hurt really, really does get in the way, and resentment is one way to just choose to keep hanging on to that hurt instead of opening up to other possibilities. What else did anyone think of? Yeah, Mark?
I don't think really expresses what he was feeling. I think it's more than that.
Like I should have used some more words. Yeah, it was just a little thought bubble,
I think he'd be in shock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, couldn't believe it. Yeah, how could it be that way? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Don.
Sometimes letting go of that hurt and that is that sense of, that plays into the whole forgiveness thing. It's somehow going to look, it'll be saying something bad about myself, like as if I deserve to be treated this way instead of that way. Like, there's that what we're saying to ourselves about ourselves.
Oh.
That enters in.
So there's almost like some kind of self-punishment going on in the elder brother, maybe? Is that, I'm not sure if I'm getting what you're saying.
It's not self-punishment, but the idea that, okay, if I go in and join this,
Right.
what am I saying about who I am?
Okay. So then I'm also not paying attention to my own hurt if I just join that party. Is that something like that?
No, because he's on the side of righteousness. So he's right.
Of course.
So right, Donna? And so if he goes in, then he's saying, well, does that mean all this time I've been wrong?
Oh.
Maybe. Is that more it? Yeah, like, that end part for sure. That end part there, that whole thing of, is that saying
That I had been wrong.
And there's something wrong about me. It goes to that really
Yeah.
deep place that there's something wrong.
I like this because it feels, something about that feels really potent, right? That if I just join in, does that mean I have been wrong before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wilma.
Shannon?
I imagine that there is also fear in the older brother. Because yes, selfishly he's felt his own pain and there's resentment of that. But he's also seen the pain of the father. And so perhaps he's afraid that if he allows the younger brother to come back, that will end up hurting the people he loves too.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a question of trust. Like, I have to trust this younger brother to have come back as a changed person.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I just know that he's back.
But yeah, I mean that's possible. That could be a way of thinking. But is it wrong to party and welcome the brother even if we can't trust him for that yet? Like maybe we can. We don't know that he's convinced. And Shannon, I like what you're saying. I wonder if you have a really generous point of view toward the elder brother in the story because of your own heart. But just because in the story, I actually don't even see much evidence for him being overly caring about his father and his father's hurt in the story.
Yeah.
But I can see how that could be true. Yeah. But yeah, still holding on to this being wrong thing, because look at how that plays in comparison with the younger brother, right? What opened the door to the younger brother having a party? I am wrong. Like, maybe that's why we don't have enough parties, is because we're not being wrong enough. Oh, I love being right. Do you know, I'm so sorry that I love being right so much. Like, I know I've talked about this before over the years, and I don't know if I ever shared the story about my mom. She talked about the first date she was on with my dad. And she said, I had a really good time, except that I just felt, it's like he always needs to be right. But then I thought, but most of the time he is. I'll see him again. You know, I got to be born. But that was a gene in my dad that got passed on. And but being wrong can be the way to open ourselves up to partying, to togetherness, to celebrating, to being more included among friends, among family. Yeah, Doc?
It just, there's layers of this, I think, there can be layers of this. So there's being wrong, and there's thinking, okay, there's something wrong with me. Which is a harder thing to let go.
Yeah. So let's create some separation just for a while, because it gets easier if we don't get too personal, right? The elder brother in the story, was the elder brother actually wrong?
It's definitely about comparison.
Yeah.
But it's a lot bigger for me as the elder brother than just accepting my younger brother coming back. In order to go in and be lighthearted about this, I have to give up everything that I believe. I have to give up all my value systems. I have to accept that his frivolous ways are acceptable. It's okay. And I just can't do it. It just grinds and
Go ahead.
Let's say he's given up his frivolous ways, right?
We don't know.
They don't know that.
He's just come home because he's hungry.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't earned it yet. He hasn't proven himself.
Sorry, Rick has something.
Yeah, Rick?
Well, I think what strikes me as one of the sort of fundamental difficulties with the elder brother is his relationship with his father. Right? I mean, like he's got that completely goofed up, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, that's and his understanding of his father and his own relationship. You know, like when his father says everything I have is yours, that's literally true, right? Because he divided everything between them, so it is literally true. But he could have had a goat any time he wanted. It was his goat. Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd be upset too. Although he didn't have this perspective, it's like, well, now he wasted the father's stuff, and now he's come back and waste mine.
Well, and there's a piece of the comparison piece. Is he back now and going to take
what's rightfully mine?
mine?
Yeah.
That's good.
Although, but the weird thing is the son doesn't have that perspective. It's still looking like his relationship is, you know, with the father. I've done, you know, everything you told me to do, right? Like I've been but again, the whole relationship is not like, it doesn't feel like a loving relationship. It feels like, you know, the patriarch and the, you know, the person who's, you know, not much more than a servant, which is the problem with the younger, you know, son discovers. and that, you know, I'm just here to do what you say, and don't
I just want to go back. You started off by saying it's all goofed up with his father. What's the invitation then? To admit I'm wrong and
Not restore relationship. I guess I changed my relationship really. I think, you know.
Yeah.
And to view my father differently.
Yeah.
And I think then maybe you could jump that into viewing your brother differently.
yeah, because the resentment we talked about before, just as much toward the father as the brother, right? Yeah.
You asked the question, is he right?
Yeah.
So I would say it depends on which worldview he's working in. So if his worldview is the worldview of a morality, a basic morality, he is right.
Yeah.
From that worldview, he's done everything right and he should be offended at the one who did it.
Yeah.
But if his worldview is bigger than morality, if his worldview is about reconciliation, if his worldview is about inclusion, if his worldview is about relationship, then his picture is far too small. And so from that perspective, he's completely wrong, as he can't see the big picture. The big picture is that his younger brother's soul is more important than all of his feeling good about himself.
Right. So can he see that invitation and enter into it without having some part of himself admit to himself, I have been wrong. I have been living in that wrong worldview.
I think it's an awakening, it's an opportunity, it's an invitation for an expanded worldview.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard for any of us to do that.
Yeah.
So he's at a place where he could take a step toward a richer life.
Yeah.
But he's kept in a cramped space in his brain right now.
Right. Okay, Dave?
I know it briefly mentioned that I usually view the story as like the younger brother living with a sense of shame about his behavior. But like in reference to what Brian's saying, like if we realize that our values are like misaligned, then in admitting to that, there can be a tremendous sense of shame. So I wonder about that dynamic for the elder brother. Perhaps he realizes it, but it's like, no, gotta hold on to this, because to open up to it, there would be some embarrassment, perhaps.
He might have.
If I give up, then
If I give up, then what? Yeah, I mean, whether it's being wrong, whether it's experiencing some of that shame, at some point for him to walk in that door and enter the party, there's got to be this going through something that's hard. Lorna?
Well, I was just thinking in my life, I literally can't make that kind of choice until God somehow intervenes to break that open. I might long to be different, I might really wish I could make the party, but in fact, I cannot. Because there's just some seeing that I can't do, some barrier that I cannot cross. And so in that sense, I was thinking that whole, this is overstatement, but that whole episode with the younger brother was a gift to me. Because it opens that door somehow for me to see that, my father was not who I thought he was. In that sense, I was wrong, which is a huge, huge relief.
So seeing the father's relationship with the younger brother change, seeing that door thrown open, is an invitation to me. Yeah.
I mean, we used to call this a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And
I think we still can call it a paradigm shift. Yeah. Let's do it. We declare this is a paradigm shift. Donna?
I don't find it happens in my head. This is realizing and thinking and shifting. It's more along the lines of what Lauren's saying. Something has to shift here. There has to be an openness and space and safety.
We're talking about complete change in values, right? Really.
Yeah, but the values, I can change my thought pattern about my values. But when something shifts inside me, when I'm open, and then can let that thought come. I was singing that song this morning, I can't remember, it was maybe the new one, where you're going, oh, God is this, and God is this, and God is this. Oh, come on, what's going on in my something happens and God intervenes and I feel safe.
Right.
And then.
If it's just in my head, it's like he slips into a corner of the party and watches it resentfully from the corner. Like if the heart change doesn't happen alongside
And maybe start to change some of the behavior, so I look like driving off with my brother, whatever, but that's not what.
Yeah, Brian?
To some degree, too, the older brother is still first world. I mean, he's still in that privileged setting. He hasn't been broken. The younger brother's been broken. The younger brother has lived over in the third world. He's coming back. A different person.
Yeah, and we've talked about having some distrust about the degree to which that's true, but I think the story does lean toward us believing that the change went deep and he's experienced brokenness and hardship and comes back a different person. Yeah, Jake.
The one thing that I keep thinking about is this element of trust, and there being a shift of trust where the younger brother, goes off and does his own thing, and then has to trust that his father's going to bring him back in. And the older brother is secure and self-righteous and
Trusting in
himself,
His work.
work,
Yeah.
but could probably really benefit from trusting in his father as well, or diverting that trust or maybe it's not even a trust that he has in himself, but there's just the sense of control that he has, and the sense of with the younger brother being able to come home, admit to wrongdoing, but also be able to be safe and welcomed by the father.
Yeah.
Like that would take a whole lot of trust and security.
Yeah, a different level of trust, yeah.
And without totally knowing.
Yeah.
And so there's maybe that's something that the older person can also learn. It's like, I don't need to understand everything in this particular moment, but I can trust this person that
And one of the things that I'm hearing in what you're saying is this engagement between trust and risk, right? That trust grows when you risk acting on a little bit of trust, and then if that works out, then that can grow. Okay, Renata, then we've got to move on.
I was reading this book, and there are two kind of main characters, and they both have this really deep kind of irrational fear because of a trauma in their past. And one of the characters has spoken to the other about it, but the other character kind of keeps it very hidden and secret. And towards the end of the book, the one character has a conversation with someone from their family, is able to unpack that fear and move past it because they learn a bit about about the experience. And the other character kind of is in this place where he feels, I am happy for her. That's to a certain extent, but God, I'm so jealous. And I wonder, and I guess what I'm thinking there is that the brother's kind of saying, oh man, he was able to come to our father in this vulnerable space and to be received and to accept a party which I have been withholding from myself for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous. I wish I could do that. And I've been working so hard to stay strong and to not show that maybe I want a party. And I just, it's just something.
And I think just one of the other new thoughts as I'm hearing what you're saying is when we are holding back that within us, it makes it hard for other people to extend that to us.
Yeah.
Right? When we're all resistant and refusing everything, it's hard to for other people to welcome us into that kind of party. Okay, we need to move on, and here are a couple of my pre-reflections before I had all your wisdom to add to the mix. So, first thought I had was one really key thing is to realize, to know, to believe, to trust this thing that the Father is saying in the story. You are always with me. Everything I have is yours. All I have is yours. In order to really open ourselves up, in order to ask for the goat for the party, like you have to really believe this to be true. Like I'm always going to feel hurt. I'm always going to be doing the comparisons unless I really, really believe the Father is just as much 100% for me as for my other brother. Like, this is, my Father is really there for me, is really there with me. I believe it. Like, miraculously, the younger brother somehow knew this out in the pig field, right? He believed that enough out there to make the journey home, go through the shame bit and everything else, and face it and ask, because somehow he managed to believe that even up there. Does the older brother believe it? It seems unclear. So I think one of the key things is to really, really, really believe it to be true. And again, not in the head, but in the heart. That I actually am a part of all the goodness that God is about. I really, really am. That seems like a key part of that. Then an attitude shift. Letting go of entitlement, resentment, frustration, disappointment, the weight of responsibilities. It's just hard to celebrate when our emotional experience is being dominated by all those kinds of feelings. Right? When we're in that kind of headspace, it's very, very hard to let go and to celebrate. And I think this is one of the places where gratitude saves us. You know, we talk a lot about gratitude and how important it is to have gratitude. When we're in that kind of a headspace, sometimes it feels like people are telling us you should be grateful, which is really unhelpful. To think of gratitude as a should, but instead, if we think of it as a life ring that's tossed where we are, right? Like, if you see gratitude as a possibility that will save you, like, that is more the invitation. It's not like you should be grateful, be a good person and be grateful. It's more like gratitude saves us from these things, from the resentment and the entitlement, the frustration, the disappointment, the burden, the weight, the responsibilities. If we let it, it can save us from those things. But that can be, it's an attitude shift, it's deep, it's a paradigm shift, it's a change of the heart, it's all of these things at once that can keep us outside. Celebration takes work. Renata's organizing Ovation for us. Is there a little work sometimes involved?
And complication.
And complication. Pardon me.
It's a little bit of work.
A little bit of work, yeah. I mean, if you've ever organized an event, I hate organizing events. Let this be known. I am not an event organizer person. But I'm so glad that people do it. But it takes initiative, it takes ideas, it takes planning, it takes execution, it takes risk, it takes cleanup work after. All of these things as part of a party. If people aren't committed to all that mix, the fun doesn't happen. Right? So it's all mixed together. The work that the son's doing out in the field should be a part of the whole partying work. Celebration and work should be all integrated into one thing. And we can't separate that. We can't expect celebration to happen without our helping to initiate it. I was thinking, Lorna, with what you're saying, that we can't make that shift without. I said, the characters in Jesus' parables are not always meant to be perfect representations of God, right? Maybe the Father wasn't perfect in this thing. Maybe the Father needed to do some better communicating with the elder son all along, doing some inviting into what was possible. Maybe he should have been suggesting a goat party to the son earlier than this. Or maybe it had been happening all along and the elder son just wouldn't hear. That's what we don't know. And then there's all the social complications that come with this question, right? There's lots of social complications that come. We've talked a lot about comparisons. Any Madeleine L'Engle fans here that read all the Madeleine L'Engle stuff? Do you remember this phrase from her books? It comes in a lot. Comparisons are odious. Remember that one? It always stuck with me because I don't even know the word odious. What is this word? What does it mean, Nancy?
It means hateful and terrible and awful.
That's what comparisons are. Comparisons are hateful and terrible and awful. They screw a lot of things up. The whole attitude of comparing things. And it's such a waste of time. So comparison and envy, just not a helpful thing, and can often keep us out of the celebration, keep us apart from where things are being free and celebrative and welcoming. We have to invest in community and friendship, be the party maker. We can't just wait for parties to come to us. We have to be taking initiative. We have to be investing in the relationship so that we know when the parties happen. And I'm using the word party a lot here, but I'm using it as a metaphor, right? For something so much more than actual parties. We have to balance exclusive and inclusive celebration. I think there's a rhythm to this. I think it's really appropriate for families to celebrate things as families and not invite so many people into the family thing that the family never gets its sense of itself and never gets to have the relationships that are within the family protected. Obviously there are some things that a married couple get to celebrate that not everyone gets to celebrate with them. I hope it's clear what I'm referring to here. So it's good to have exclusive boundaries around some of these things. But we need to have inclusive celebrations mixed in with the rhythm of our life. This is one of the reasons why this is so important and why we felt the pain of a lack of this so much during these last couple of years, because we need spaces like this where everyone is welcome to be a part of this. You don't have to wait for an invitation. You don't have to care if you're in someone's bubble. We need the inclusive, non-bubbled times where everybody is welcome and invited. And then this question, how could you celebrate with everyone? Like literally everyone, including specifically the people who piss you off. Do you want to find common ground with the people who piss you off? Do you want to sing and dance with your enemy? Like, what if singing and dancing with your enemy is more effective at getting toward peace than working hard and doing some of those other kind of things like you were taught in conflict resolution class? What if singing and dancing is the way to make it happen? What if singing and dancing is the way that your hurt that you were protecting actually gets met in a heart way? Right? I think that's possible. Anyway, those are just some thoughts, very unfinished and unformed, and all of this conversation has been a beautiful compliment to all of that. I just want to end with a very simple example of what I think is at the heart of what is being said to the elder brother in this story. So this, thanks to Carol, on Thursday morning, she said, I think we should do a breakfast picnic on Saturday. I think this is a good idea. And so she looks at the weather and she said, oh, it's going to be perfect. If we go for a breakfast picnic on Saturday, the sun will come out, break through the fog. That'll be windless just when we're there in the middle of our food. And I went, I think that's a good plan. I don't know how you can say this 2 days in advance, but I think that's a good plan. Anyway, 2 days later, this happens. So it's 8:30 in the morning, Saturday. We've got our freshly baked cinnamon rolls. Oh, she's so good to me. Fruit salad, coffee in travel mugs, in our backpacks. We're walking down the road. We get to walk past this, stop for picture moments. Just glorious. Shining droplets and bird song. Just incredible. The picture doesn't cut it. Like, we were walking down there, that whole shrubbery along the side was just like, Bruce Coburn sang about all the diamonds in the sea. Well, these were all the diamonds in the shrubs. It was like jewels, like all along the sides, and they're just full of birds, and the bird song was just glorious. And then at the end, we were out here by an old pier and found a nice spot and put a blanket down and had our breakfast picnic. And of course, you can't see it in the picture, but the sun was just coming out. You see the blue sky there? Literally, the sun came out as we took our first bites of our food. Like, yeah, but I mean, yeah, there's planning, but I don't know how much say she actually had in that. But anyway, it was pretty amazing. And then, so I'm almost superstitious about sermon talks. So I don't tell anybody what I'm going to talk about in advance. Poor Paul Dupuy asks me all the time, what are you going to talk about today? And I say, I can't tell you, you have to be there. I'm sorry. And so I never tell Carol anything what I'm talking about. So she had no idea what I was going to be talking about today. And we're sitting there enjoying our breakfast, and the thing that she says to me is this line: "It's amazing that this is so available." And I just thought, that's exactly the elder brother's experience. It's like, you don't know that this is all so available. Like, it's just right there. And it's so close, and yet we hold ourselves back from it. How simple of a decision is it to throw things in a backpack on a Saturday morning and go have a picnic by the river? Like, it's... Well, okay. But, no, you can pick up something like cinnamon rolls from the store if you don't have a Carol to make them for you, but... So, yeah, that was a nice touch, I admit. But I was having a pretty great time on that morning, even before I had, although some of the good time was just knowing I was going to have the cinnamon roll. Yeah, there is that moment, the Winnie the Pooh thing, right? That moment of anticipation, even better. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just thought it was amazing to me that she laid that line on me right in the middle of that moment, when I was literally sitting there, because we were just sitting there not talking, eating our cinnamon rolls, drinking coffee, and I'm thinking about my sermon, and she just said this, and I went, yeah, like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So, it's amazing what's available to us if we let ourselves. If we don't hold ourselves at bay from it because of comparisons and resentments and hurts and things like that, and let ourselves enter in. So, how I wanted to end today, I assume we have something else going on too, right? We do not have anything else going on. Okay, well, as we really end today then. I heard these words in the liturgy upstairs in the early service, and I was reminded how communion is also a celebration. Communion is also a party, and the whole idea, for me, my meaning of communion is the welcoming and the inclusion around the table, the fact that everyone is invited into this moment of sustenance together. And these are the words that we say after we take part. And I think that's what we need celebration for, is represented in these words. So may the bread restore our strength, giving new energy to tired limbs, new thoughts to weary minds. May the wine restore our souls, giving new vision to dry spirits, new warmth to cold hearts. So break bread together with someone, and I hope you have moments of celebration that does some of that renewing of your spirit, because you need it in balance with all the hard times to have the moments of celebration too. So go in peace. Thanks. I mean, you don't have to go in peace right now.